Welcome to Spot Check, the video update series for The Greatest Unreality, a dissertation about Dungeons & Dragons. I have to apologize for my somewhat extended absence. I actually have a new daughter. She's just over 2 months now, and getting back into my regular work cycle has taken a little bit longer than I thought. I have been working on the dissertation, though, and actually what I'd like to do in this episode is to take a little bit of a different tack and just read you some of the content I've been working on for my dissertation. Now, this is a little bit of an experiment in seeing how well the text that I'm writing in my dissertation translates into a video like this, so I'd appreciate any feedback you have on whether reworking it in a different way might be better. The text I'm going to read today comes from the beginning of my chapter on GaryCon, which is the convention I attended most in my field work. It happens up in Lake Geneva every year, and I talk a little bit in this opening about what conventions do in gaming culture and how GaryCon specifically fits into that. Conventions have held an important role in gaming culture from the beginning of the hobby. Dave and Gary first met at the second Gen Con, and D&D made its first public appearance at another Gen Con 5 years later. Like the science fiction conventions that preceded them, game conventions have served as what historian Michael Saylor calls the public spheres of the imagination, spaces in which gamers develop and promulgate new ideas and tactics of the imagination. For many gamers, attending a convention exposes them to a much wider diversity of gaming styles than their more insular home games. As one attendee, Jason Azzi, related to me, quote, "You realize when you come to these things and play at other DMs' tables that none of us are actually playing the same game as far as rules. Once exposed to a new game, style, or technique, gamers take those that they like back to their home groups. In this way, conventions can be seen as the hearts of gaming culture, circulating new ideas and practices out of the scattered gaming groups and back again." This function remains important in spite of its partial diffusion through online communities, because many of these techniques are embodied spatial practices. While these techniques can certainly be described in text, conventions provide irreplaceable physical experiences of these techniques. For example, at one convention, DM Matt Finch reorganized the players at my table so that we sat according to the relative dexterity of our characters, and experiencing that bodily technique for managing a large group of gamers helped us to understand it much more concretely than if he had simply written a blog post describing the technique. Of course, the importance of the convention extends through beyond the level of gameplay. Away from the game table, strong friendships develop, and Gary and Dave are not alone in having begun a new collaborative design project through conversations that began at a convention. GaryCon takes the long-standing tradition of the gaming convention and combines it with a multifaceted commemoration. First and most explicitly, the convention memorializes the life of Gary Gygax. When Gary passed away in 2008, his friends and family gathered together in the Foreign Legion Hall in Lake Geneva after the funeral to play games in an act of commemoration. The following year marked the first official GaryCon, which took the motto, "Celebrating a Life Well Played." While this motto may seem merely to restate the old adage that life is like a game, it succinctly captures a deeper sentiment held by many gamers. Playing games constitutes an essential feature of a life well lived, one that not only provides a healthy diversion, but that enriches the entirety of one's life. Paul Lafarge, an author and gamer I met at my first GaryCon, expressed this sentiment in a piece he wrote after visiting Gary not long before his death. Quote, "You could conclude, I guess, that games are everything for Gygax, or that everything is a game, but I don't think that would be quite right. I think that he has found a way to live. Gaming here is experienced not so much as an activity sprinkled periodically through one's life, but as a mode of living, one that colors all of one's activities. As Brian Scavera, a Connecticut native who makes the annual trek to Lake Geneva, told me."
I mean, what is life except a series of experiences? So you should probably find those experiences which are pleasurable to you for whatever reason. You can't control your makeup, you can't control your personality, your state of your neurons. From, are you born with a chemical imbalance? Are you born to see everything optimistically or pessimistically? Are you born at an advantage or disadvantage? So much you can't control. You can, however, seek out experiences that are tolerable or even pleasurable, and avoid those which are painful, and try not to inflict bad things on other people. So gaming is pleasurable to me. It helps me distract from thoughts like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no meaning except what you make of it.
The life well played of GaryCon, then, is not the one that plays the games of modernity best, but the one that uses play to find meaning in the midst of circumstances which tend to obscure a sense of meaning. This puts the spirit of GaryCon in line with Schiller's famous remark that man only plays when he is in the fullest sense of the word a human being. and he is only fully a human being when he plays. Homo ludens, or man the player, is also homo significans, man the meaning maker, the two roles intertwined. Playing games at a funeral, then, makes sense, not only because it honors Gary's life as a gamer, but because it helps us to approach a funeral with levity and to make meaning of loss.
That's why when we say you pay, you got to pay too.